I am ready to start weaving my weft thread onto my loom, and the weft thread is the thread that goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it creates the different stripes that you see on the bracelet. So I'm going to start off by threading my needle. I'm just going to put the end of my yarn into the eye of my needle. And you want to leave a little bit of a tail at the end so that your needle doesn't fall off very easily. You can start on either side of your loom. It doesn't matter which side. The important thing is that you follow the directions. So on this side, I see that it says the word over. So I'm going to start off by putting my needle over the warp and then under and then over. So it creates a pattern. And then as I'm pulling it, instead of holding on to my needle, because then it might come off the yarn, I'm just gonna pinch it and hold on to the yarn. That keeps my needle from falling off easily. Once I have my warp thread pulled most of the way through, I'm just gonna kind of move it so that it's right above the popsicle stick. And then we want to leave a pretty long tail on this very first row. And the reason for that is because this tail is going to turn into the part of the bracelet that you use to tie it around your arm. And you can see on this bracelet, I forgot to leave a long tail. And so it's just a little bit awkward that it's a different length. I would measure with your hands, you want it to be about the length in between your thumb and your pinky finger. Once you have it like that length, you're gonna grab a piece of tape and then flip your loom over to the back. I don't like it when my little tails are just hanging off the edge because sometimes they get tangled up. So I usually would like make a loop like that and then tape the loop down. But you can tape it however you choose. Once I've got it taped, I'm ready to continue weaving. So the important thing to remember when you're weaving is that whatever side your needle and your yarn is on, that's the side you need to go back through. So right now my needle and my yarn are on this side, so I'm gonna be going back through from the same side. And I see the directions say under on this side, so I'm gonna start with my needle under the warp thread, over, under, and then I'll just pull, pinch that yarn, and pull all the way through. And you want to, when you get close to the end, you want to pull it kind of at a diagonal until it just hugs the warp thread on the end. And the reason we do it at a diagonal is because if we pull it straight across like that, it's going to end up pinching the warp threads. And if you keep pulling it horizontally the whole time, you're going to end up with a bracelet that instead of having even edges all the way down, it's going to be like pinched. It'll start big and then it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you notice that you accidentally pinched it, you can just take your needle and kind of loosen it up like that. And I would just continue this pattern. So now my thread and my needle are on this side of my loom. I'm going to go back the same direction. It says over, so I'm going to put my needle over, under, over. And then I would just pull that all the way through at a diagonal, and then you can comb it down. If you've been weaving for a while and it's looking like this where you can see the warp thread showing through, that just means you probably need to use your comb to push all of it tight so that it's a solid color. I want to show you a couple of mistakes that can happen really easily and how to fix them. So if you're weaving and you forget to go back through the same side that you're on, and maybe you accidentally switch and go back on the opposite side, you will end up with kind of like a loop that's just sort of loose, right? So like it's not following the pattern, there's just like an extra little string there. If that happens, it's super easy to fix. All you have to do is take your needle off of your yarn and undo that last row. That is what I love about weaving, is that nothing is permanent. You can always take something out and then just try again. Another thing that can happen sometimes is if you don't follow the directions on the side. So if I see that it says over and I just forget and instead I do the opposite and I go under, what's gonna happen is you're gonna pull it through and it's just gonna take out that very last row. So not super hard to fix. You can just go back and do that row again, but it can get kind of frustrating to see your work kind of unravel. So if that's happening to you, it just means you need to pay close attention to the words on the side and make sure that you're following those directions.